What's up, guys? It's Chris Conlon, your home lending guru, coming to you from California. And today I am with a very special guest. Now, this is a client and also a friend of mine, Jack Dempsey, and we just got done with doing a refinance. And before that, we had a cash out refinance where he pulled out some cash, paid off some debt, and also made the home of his dreams. So we're gonna get into it. I can't wait to share all about it.
We got funded today for the second refinance. So super excited. Can't wait to get into that with you.
All right, Jack. So the first loan that you had before, tell me a little bit about that loan and what even made you think about getting out of that loan.
Yeah, so we had 30 years, very comfortably fixed at 3.4% interest. Probably like most of your clients that are a little gun shy on thinking about doing anything new. I feel like most people that I talk to out in the world or homeowners, they're very comfortable right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the world keeps moving forward. You want to do things in your life and you want to like kind of leverage your assets and figure out like, what can I do to max out my lifestyle? But I'm fixed at 3.4%, right?
3.4.
So that's, it was the interest rate of a lifetime. I think most people would just all agree we might not see it again.
Sure.
But it keeps you in this mindset of just being comfortable with where you're at.
Yeah.
And having more of like a growth mindset and not really settling. I really wanted to, and my wife and I really came to this conclusion that irregardless of interest rate, we were looking to improve our family lifestyle and improve the house. And that's when the brainstorming between you and I started.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. And you had an FHA loan originally, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So that mortgage insurance was going to stay on in perpetuity.
Yeah, we were stuck in PMI. As a matter of fact, the original loan when we first bought the house, it was, let's say 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, had PMI on the loan.
Yep.
When we refied to the 3.4, that loan also had PMI, but there was an asterisk with that PMI.
Yep.
It was for life. So we couldn't get that off after there was a time limit where supposedly we were supposed to be able to drop the PMI.
Yep.
But what I found out later, being uneducated at the time and in certain things, is that PMI was non-dismissible.
Correct.
With that particular loan.
Yep.
And it boiled my blood quite a bit to find that out later.
Yeah.
And I think you and I did have some conversations back then about that.
And I love FHA loans. It really does help get a client from her first-time home buyer. It really helps them to get into a home. Now, you are correct that PMI lasts forever. However, over that 11-year time period, you built up some serious equity.
Yeah. I mean, we bought the house, I'll just say it, for $380.
Yeah.
$380, we bought this house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, front yard, backyard, perfectly suited for our young growing family, right? And basically what happened was that we just, started thinking about ways to improve, just the setting. We were looking at purchasing perhaps a bigger home, a home outside of Ventura, which was not attractive. I love living in Ventura.
Totally.
And so that's when the hunt began for potentially a new house.
Yes, I remember.
Right?
Yeah.
But then what happened? Rates went up.
Yes.
And the price of the home market, like when we were looking at homes that we would even consider getting out of this house, 1.4, 1.6 million was like the average of the home that we would even consider.
I agree. Yeah.
Like even consider at all.
Yeah.
And even then we would have had to have done some work, because even the houses at 1.4, 1.6, outdated kitchens, needed flooring, needed a driveway. I mean, even at that price point. So then you start to do the math and you start to say, okay, well, here's our expenses. Here's our income. Like, let's put this on paper. Let's have a plan. Let's figure out where we're at.
So living here in Ventura, you guys have been here for a long time. I know you outside of being a client. I actually know you through jiu-jitsu and have become friends even before we even decided to be on the business side of things.
That's right.
You came to me, you said, I love where we live. I love the town. I've built my life around kind of just the things that we do here as a community. So I really appreciate that very much. And I totally understand. Being a Ventura guy, I feel the same way. So You had an FHA loan, you had a super low interest rate, you had the PMI that was going to last in perpetuity.
Yep.
You knew you wanted to stay here, you love the house that you live in, you love your neighbors, you love the area that you live in.
Yep.
You came to me and said, you know what, I think there might be a different way that we could do this. And typically, like most clients that I have, when they have that low of an interest rate, that is almost like a trophy. Like they don't want to get rid of that.
It is a trophy. You know, even speaking with my father, you know, about even the first time my wife and I purchased a home together, you know, we were chatting, and I think rates when he bought a home, the first house that I grew up in, it was, I don't know, 14%, you know, it was like something ridiculous. And so, you know, there was this mentality of like, hold on to that rate, like grim death, like just hold it, you know, don't, you know, set your life up almost around it.
100%.
Right. But then, you know, the fact is that mindset doesn't allow you to, it doesn't like allow for growth. It doesn't allow for improvement. And I think through some education through you, which I thank you dearly for, I feel like it's important to just kind of put it out there that you need to look at your total expenses. You need to look at where you would like to be versus where you're at now. If you love your home and it's just missing a few components that would make you really, really happy, look, the 3.4% interest rate that you have, that's got nothing to do with how you feel about your life when your head hits the pillow. Right? What kind of house, like the style of the home my kids are growing up in. There's a vibe. Right? And I want the best for my family, best for my kids. 3.4% has nothing to do with the lifestyle or how you feel about where you live. It just has to do with like, what's my monthly payment? Right? So.
All right, so I appreciate you saying that, because I really do feel the same way. And I think on the education piece, you know me, you've gotten to know me over the years. And I am highly, highly motivated by helping people in terms of understanding what they're getting into. Understanding how we can kind of figure out problems, the problem solving, and really helping someone along the way, improving their life and just really improving their situation. That's really where I lead. So my philosophy is, if I can help you understand just the entire piece of it from a macro level and even some of the micro level, you can really figure out, and the data is going to tell the story. I'm just helping narrating it, which is easy.
Yeah, well, to your point, I think one of the biggest problems when you're on the consumer end of any industry. So like you work in your industry, you're in lending, you work with new home buyers, refinance, just every component in that field. But it's really no different than when I'm talking to a contractor. Usually I'm completely out of my element. There's a take your word for it and then fact check everyone's statements along the way. But most of the time in life, when you own a home, you have kids, you have obligations, you know, you don't have time to like really get into the nitty gritty details of your industry for me to do a deal for myself. Like that's not reality for most people. You know, in the education process of like coming to you and just like laying it out there, you teaching me what to look for as far as like the moment to where this makes sense. That meant a lot. That was helpful. There were like little nooks and crannies of the lending industry that I was not privy to or did not understand. But that's the difference between working with a lender who, like a prior lender, for instance, we're talking dry as sandpaper personality, ice cold, barely gives you the time of day, the 48-hour return on a phone call. No, let's call it 60 hours. You know, just seriously transactional. Okay. And in my professional life, I find transactional relationships to be quite pathetic. I don't think that is a great way to like create relationships to like move your life forward. So the way that you talk to clients, the way that you educate people online, I think you're doing a lot of things differently than others. And needless to say, I would say that you're probably creating amazing relationships in this county, you know, not just with myself and my family, but with everyone you deal with. I have a sneaky suspicion that most people are really happy, you know, post-transaction.
For sure. So Jack, I really appreciate you saying that because that is truly what I'm all about. So I really understand there's another human being on the end of this. So if I can educate, if I can truly lead by example, because that's the way that I like to be treated when I go to the mechanic, when I go somewhere else, I really want to understand, tell me the dynamics, tell me what I'm actually getting into. So the education piece, I really appreciate you acknowledging that. That is truly what I'm all about. And I really, really do care about you and your family.
Yeah.
So when you were looking to pull out the cash out to improve where you live and kind of do some updates and stuff like that, what was your mentality? What were you thinking about pulling the cash out, and what were your goals?
So it's actually pretty simple. We were really looking, and we were looking at new home ideas.
Yeah.
We wanted an open floor plan. We felt a bit crammed.
Sure.
Right? We've got 2 kids, married, growing family, and family in town.
Yep.
You know, you have people over for holidays.
Yes.
And everybody was just happy to come over, but we weren't happy.
Yes.
Hosting.
Yes.
At some point, you kind of reach this point where it's like, you know, your family doesn't mind, but you mind.
Of course.
You know, you mind. You want a nicer place to host, and it's not like we're throwing, you know, parties all the time, but as far as, you know, the holidays and birthdays and just, you know, random family occurrences, you know, we wanted something that we were maybe just a bit prouder of, and you know, something where you could have 15 people in the house and everyone would be comfortable. Which also means when no one's here, the vibe is that we have this beautiful open floor plan. Even the 4 of us, we're not cramped.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
We can all do our own thing in this room now.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, so when we first were looking at this and we were kind of penciling out some ideas, you really were thinking about, well, I could probably pull some cash out and do some upgrades. But you didn't want to lose that 3.5% or 3.4, which again, I totally understand. But what we did is we really went holistic and we really looked at the entire picture. So the idea is you get to keep the home. You gained some significant equity in those 11 years that you guys have lived here.
We did. I mean, buying the house at like 380 and then recognizing a decade later, we more than doubled up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we doubled up plus.
This is the power of real estate for sure. So when we looked at this, just like every other American and friend and everybody, you've got a car payment. You've got
2 car payments.
Yeah, okay, 2 car payments. And so we looked at from a holistic approach, let's pull out some cash. Let's drop the PMI. Let's get rid of that PMI.
Yeah, wasted money.
Yeah, right. So now you've got over 20% worth of equity. So now we can go into a true conventional. We can now pull the cash out with the big plan overall is that we're probably going to refi, and we're going to touch on that in just a second. But the idea is we pull out enough cash, we pay off the car, you relieve some of that debt.
Sure.
Your payment doesn't go up quite a bit. The cool thing is your property taxes aren't going up because we're not starting to pull all the permits and stuff like that. We are truly doing a cash out refinance. So that's going to help out tremendously. And you're staying in the home that you truly do love. So when we did that, tell me a little bit, were you kind of blown away when we actually started peeling the numbers back?
Yeah. I think it's, you know, we always had this like spreadsheet of the budget, or you use QuickBooks or like whatever rudimentary tools we were using. But it worked. You know, like we you know, if you know where you're at, you know where you can go, right? So that's step 1. Is you better figure out where you're at. Step 2 is, okay, well, if I didn't have this $620 SUV payment, right? My current mortgage plus the $600-something SUV payment equals this. And then the PMI was a waste of money. Like I'm not getting anything for the PMI.
Correct.
Right? So I'm looking at that.
Well, we looked at that. So what we call it in the industry is your blended rate. And that is something that we talked about from an education piece. It said, you know, Jack, you're paying the 3.4, you are paying the PMI. And then you've also got the car payment. When we actually put that blended rate together, it is higher than 3.4. So then when we refinance, again, it is not so intimidating because you truly do understand how this works. Now, I do have to tell you from a client perspective, you allowed me to do that. And I am super grateful because the majority of my clients, 99.9%, allow me to walk them through. And they are very open, they're very inquisitive, and they allow me to play my music, which I, again, really, truly appreciate. So when we laid it all out, you guys really did take a step back. And I remember that aha moment where both you and your wife were like, oh shit, we can actually totally do this.
Yes. Yeah.
And you had lined up a contractor that you felt super comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got a plan.
Research.
Yes.
Research. If you just put the time into the research,
yes,
you can lay it out and just make a decision.
Yeah.
You need to figure out what's possible.
Yeah.
And then just start planning it.
Yeah.
And you better start putting your goals on a spreadsheet, because if you don't see them, there's nothing to get after. Right. So the research is part of that.
Totally.
The research is part of that, because when you start doing research, it's like peeling the onion back and you realize, like, okay, this is what we want for flooring. What's that going to cost? This is what we want to vault the ceilings. This is what we want for appliances. On a spreadsheet, it's less threatening, is my point, though.
Yeah, of course.
Right. It just becomes a data point. And once you see it in writing, it's less stressful.
For sure.
And then here's the magic part. Staying in the home and getting the home that we wanted versus picking up our entire lives, leaving Ventura, which for me, like, I might have been born in New Jersey, but I'm a Ventura guy now. I'm 18 years in to Ventura life, right? So it's like, how do I stay in Ventura? How do I upgrade the lifestyle? Now it's on a spreadsheet, and I've got you kind of feeding me the knowledge to figure out the nuances to when is it appropriate to take this step.
Absolutely.
You know, whether it's watching the market, whether it's whether it's me pestering you over, you know, when's that jobs report come out again? You know, looking at all of these little nuances that you talk about all the time on your social channels, which I think people should probably follow a little closer. Because you're going to learn something about when to make moves.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Most lenders don't take the time to, like, teach their audience what to be looking for.
Yeah.
When we refied to 3.4.
Yes. Pure transaction.
I was not going to. He had nothing to teach.
Yeah, I understand.
There was nothing to teach. It was just like, see you later.
So yes, Jack, when you are looking at it on a spreadsheet, it is way easier and way more palpable when you're actually taking a look at it and less intimidating. One of the things that I hear from clients is about the process, and usually how long it takes, how difficult it can be, getting harassed for paperwork, just the actual ease of the process. Now, I've spent a lot of time trying to build this and kind of perfect the process.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear from your end, from a client that literally just did this twice with me.
Yeah, twice.
And today is when the loan actually funded.
Yeah, like, so before you stopped by, like, the title company called me about 30 minutes prior saying, okay, everything's wrapped up, you're done. Confirm XYZ information, because you actually have a little bit of cash coming your way.
I love that.
Not a lot, but a little. But either way, like, that was 30 minutes before you showed up.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So on the first cash out refinance, tell me a little bit about that process that you had with me and my team.
Yeah. I would say that it was super clean from the aspect of, like, you didn't give me the ability to do any guesswork.
Okay.
So I didn't really have to guess as to, like, oh, well, you know, for all the stipulations and the documents and everything that I needed to pull this off, there wasn't any mystery document halfway through the process, like prior loans, where they would call me and say, I need this, I need this a half hour ago.
Right.
I work 8 to 12 hours a day. I travel. Like, listen, I don't have time for all this. Like, so you took the guesswork out of it by front loading every imaginable thing that could be needed in the process. And then I worked with your team to make sure that they had, and they're amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're high touch, very friendly.
Everybody's getting a raise after this, right?
They should. At least something.
Yeah, okay.
But let's just put it this way. It was super smooth, and I think what I appreciate the most is knowing what's needed to complete the task. Yeah. And then also, what you gave me was a list of things that could come up.
Yes, thank you.
Could come up.
Totally.
And I front loaded that to your team, all of the could come ups.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Right? So when you know what could happen, if X, Y, and Z doesn't work out and we have to pivot this way, I already supplied everything for the pivot.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So there was like a lack of stress on the cash out refi.
That's exactly what we're looking for. And on that piece, just knowing that you had to, what you had to bring in and what you had to supply. Also the fees. So majority of clients, when I hear about other lenders, and I never want to ever bash any other lender, so that's not what this is about.
I'll do it for you.
No, you don't have to. Yeah. When we talk about this though, like random fees, the costs associated. So we do a lot of the heavy lifting with our clients in that first 30-minute-ish, 45 minutes, where we review the loan estimate, we review the closing disclosure, and we literally go line by line.
Yeah.
That way there is no mystery, and you felt comfortable with
listen, I think when we purchased this home, it wasn't a situation where things were pointed out in plain speak.
Sure.
And if there's one thing that I can't stand professionally, and this goes into lending or buying a car, or I don't care what it is when the person that you're dealing with is coming across in like this professional, using all of the buzzwords, kind of one-upping you or kind of big-upping the situation so that, it's like a top-down close. And your team does not, you guys don't do that. It's a plain speak transaction. Yeah. And in my line of work, plain speak and professionalism combined, that closes deals and builds relationships. You're on your way. You're doing it the right way, right? So you're building the relationships. You're not trying to sound uber professional for no good reason.
True.
You're like, you can be yourself and a regular guy and perform at a high level. So with the transaction, you're doing that. With the relationship we've built, we'll be doing this again, so
true.
Yeah, but you have to earn it with me. Like
this is true.
You've completely earned it.
I appreciate that very much. All right, Jack. So speaking about doing this again, so when we laid out this plan, the goal was, let's get you out of the FHA loan, drop the PMI, get you the cash out, get you the house that you want, pay off the car. Take the interest rate. And I'm going to tell you that we actually increased the interest rate. And I don't want to get super complicated. But we did what's called credit for interest rate chosen. So you actually chose a bit higher of an interest rate.
I did.
To create more money coming back to you that would pay for all of your closing costs, which kept it basically zero cost to you. Now, with that being said, on the education side, I said, now look, Jack, if we pay attention to the market, there's probably going to be a few times over the next couple of years, maybe even in the next 6 months, to refinance it into a lower interest rate. Again, no cost to you. Get it into a lower interest rate, save you some money. And tell me a little bit about this last cash out, or this last rate and term refinance that we closed today.
Yeah, so I just went down close to $300 a month within 5 months. So basically, So we did the cash out refi. We got the home dialed in exactly how we needed it. Lifestyle by design. We're on our way. 5 months later, today, I'm down almost $300 a month in payment because we just refied again. And of course, like now that I know what to look for. In the market, you've educated me on when to bother you, right? True. And frankly, what I do appreciate as well is that when you explain that you have a system in place that kind of tips you off onto what customers would benefit at the right moment, like when the market changes, like that means a lot. I don't even know if a lot of people realize you do that. But you've taught me what to look for really specifically. The apps, the websites. I know the dates when announcements are made now.
This is true.
But basically, I know what to look for now. So it's not like I have to sit here wondering in my mind, well, I hope we can refi again someday and bring this down. Like, no, I am now empowered to know, a certain kind of reasonable proxy when we can do this again.
I love that.
Right. And so I know I wake up in the morning, I do what I have to do. And then I go and look at all the stuff.
This is true.
And you almost become slightly addicted to like looking at these things. But now I'm like educated in a different way to make decisions, and so I know when to bother you.
That's what it's all about. And and this is what I actually love: getting a text from my client like you with a snapshot of Mortgage News Daily with interest rates going down and saying, "Is it now time?" I love that because again, it is very proactive. We do have the trust.
Yeah.
And
I'll screenshot where my credit score is at.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
And then send you that screenshot of where the market's at, and be like, well, what's going on, Chris?
Yeah. All right, Jack. So when we do this refinance that we just closed today, when we were doing that, again, the whole plan was to do the cash out refinance into another rate and term as interest rates go lower.
Right.
So for you, the main motivation was to lower your monthly payment, obviously through the rate and term. Now there were a couple of hidden benefits from that rate and term, which is great. Now we were able to take the current escrows that you had, so your impound account, there was about $2,600 in that account. So you're gonna be actually getting that back after the close of escrow.
Correct.
We were also able to tighten up on the payoff, and you're getting about $2,000 from this refinance as well.
It's exactly two.
Perfect, okay. Yeah. And then we're actually refunding your appraisal. So that's coming back to you. So now we're almost, now we're like almost $2,600.
Correct.
And then your next payment today is June, so your next payment's not due until August.
So one of the nice things about a refi is that you end up with a gap month, and so family of four. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with taking what I would have spent on the mortgage and just throwing that at my Amex or whatever, and just kind of washing that out. Yeah. Awesome. Or just we actually just booked a couple of trips.
Nice.
Just it's. I think the whole point of most of our conversations is that you can't, if you're in a situation and you're desiring a certain lifestyle, if you have the right team in place, you can conquer your goals, but you have to have the right team and people that will listen and kind of hear you out, people that you are comfortable sharing the information with. Fortunately, you're that guy for me. But you can definitely get things done and save a bunch of money along the way.
This is true.
And so I appreciate all of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm curious, and again, this is not like a setup for you. Like this happens all the time. We've got a lot of clients that are coming to me right this very second that are quite honestly in the same boat in terms of interest rate.
Right.
Now your situation is different. You wanted to build the house of your dreams, but I've got clients that are sitting with a 2.75, 3%, 3.5 that refinanced in 2020, 2021. And they've acquired, because of inflation, they have acquired a ton of credit card debt revolving. They've got car payments that are like literally $1,000 each.
Yeah, it's
and when we look at this blended interest rate, they are paying like 7% worth of interest. What would you advise people to do on that end?
I would basically say that look at the lifestyle that you want to live.
Yeah.
Chart it out, put it on paper, put it on a spreadsheet, and at least spitball with you about what the possibilities are. To do a deal to eliminate some debt, perhaps. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Like 3.4 sounds great, and you get attached to that, almost like you had mentioned. It feels like a trophy, but it has nothing to do with your lifestyle.
True.
Zero. It might be comfortable, it might feel secure, but if you're not moving forward, then for me, I don't feel secure unless I'm progressively moving forward in life. And if I have to change my interest rate to come up in the world, then that's just temporary. That's 100%. Just temporary. Okay, fine. I had 3.4 and then we went up above and then now we went down again. 100%. And you know what? 6 months from now, I'll do it again.
This is true.
That's fine.
And the one thing that people forget about, and you and I had a conversation about this, that people do not even consider, but your interest on your house is actually tax deductible.
Right.
Your interest on your credit cards and things like that, unless you're using it for business, it is not tax deductible.
That's true.
So there are some main points, and I appreciate you saying that very much. I do think when people look at their blended interest rate, it is quite shocking when they actually look at their overall debt profile, see how much money they have going out, and even refinancing into a higher number that's maybe double or even double and a half what they're paying now. actually saves them quite a bit of money.
I think what I've learned from a lot of this process, you're almost doing yourself like a disservice to at least not chart it out.
Yeah.
You have to chart it out.
I agree.
Because you might be very surprised at what you can gain, just by taking that step.
For sure. We're going to wrap this up, but I really wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate just the trust that you instilled with me. Again, there is a little bit of a component. You are a higher belt than I am in jiu-jitsu. You can actually break my arm or choke me out.
True.
So I really do have to make sure that we killed it on this one. My team really enjoyed working with you and Amanda. We really had a good time. You always supplied things super quick, very efficient. That's the reason why we're able to close so fast.
Yeah.
But again, man, you invited me into your home. You spent some time with me. You really pumped me up, so thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, man, I know that we just did the second one.
Yeah.
The third one's on its way. You already texted me this morning before I even got here that rates were going down. So it looks like we're probably going to do this here relatively quick.
I mean, basically, now that I know what to look for,
yep.
I'm just ready to go on the next one too. So whether it's 3 months, 5 months, 10 months, it doesn't really matter. We just keep improving our lives. We use the data, we use our relationships to our advantage, and just grow together, and it's all good.
Amen, dude. Thank you so much,
Thanks, sir.
brother. Yep.